Boyz podcast.
Yes,
You got
every
you got any?
Friday except last Friday.
Yeah, except for every Friday, except for every other Friday. Do you have any idea what episode we're on?
No, that's why like in the thumbnails I wasn't putting it, but I'm gonna edit it in. I don't know how many episodes we're on now, but we're up there for sure. We must be close to 30.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe when we've been talking about getting together to do like a big episode. When we get together and do an episode, we should just call that the season finale, maybe.
Yeah, I think I don't know what we're at, but we got some really cool stuff coming up. So we just got to get together. That's the issue. That's
Yeah,
the
we do got
problem we're having right now.
yeah, we do got big plans coming up. To thinking about switching up some formats, coming at you guys from a little bit different angles, giving you some different content, not just us split screen chatting, but
Yeah,
a
we're
little
gonna
bit
do
more
some
dynamic.
interesting, some
Yeah,
reaction videos, some really fun things we're gonna start doing on the show, and getting you guys to know us a little bit better on a personal level.
yeah, absolutely.
But damn, we're talking about something special here. And really, we're going back to the past today, talking about beat 'em ups. And beat 'em ups basically represent to me classic gaming.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
we're talking about, plugging in your Super Nintendo, your Sega Genesis, whatever system have you, but you're side by side with your good buddies and you're going through a beat 'em up. And a lot of the games have the same plot, same storyline
Hmm.
in a lot of classic beat 'em ups.
Yeah, well, a lot of times I feel like it. I mean, the beat 'em up. It's not the storyline that captures you as much, I guess, is the action of it. And like you said, a lot of them are very similar. So I think a lot of time what stands out is like presentation, stage, character
Yeah.
selection, and like the feeling of having a few different options. Like the feeling that you're not just going through a game pressing X in A over and over again, right?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of them, some of are very ahead of its time, and some of them, are very lackluster in the years they come out with graphic wise, depth wise, sound wise. So we're gonna go through a couple of our favorites today. So Dan, I don't know, did you want to start first with
Yeah,
your
I'll
top
start us
10?
off 'cause I think you've been starting us off lately, so I can start us off. Before I start, I did want to ask one thing to clarify. We are just talking beat 'em ups, right? We are not talking shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, just beat 'em ups. Because even
Okay,
when I was doing it, like, there's a lot of games that seem like beat 'em ups, but they're platform games. Like, I
platformer
don't know.
shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't I don't know if you have this on, but if you do, it's fine. We'll classify it as a beat 'em up. But I was kind of thinking Marvel Alliance, Ultimate Alliance
yeah.
was a beat 'em up.
That's what I was thinking too, and I'm like, well, that's a more modern beat 'em up, and that's got to be my favorite game of all time, right? But that of for
It,
beat 'em
it-
ups because we've seen that on my all time game list
yeah,
and stuff, right?
but
But then I'm like, I didn't put it on there because I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
it's a
I guess that's
platform
yeah, it's as much of a platformer or even maybe even our no, maybe not
RPG.
RPG. It's
Not
got some
RPG, but yeah, it's like more of a platform RPG. If it was
yeah,
more side scroll, I guess we could put it in the category, right? But
yeah,
I don't know, it's tough. But if you had it on your list, I would be like okay with it because I would probably just put it on my list at some point because I had
yeah,
it on my list originally, but then I was like, I don't even know if this is because there was a couple great games like you said that have um like you're shooting and stuff like that, and you have guns and weapons like that, but you use them too much to be in a beat 'em up game, so I didn't
yeah,
even put them on
exactly.
here as well. So
Yeah,
Dan, if you want to hit us with your number 10, and like everybody, please put your top 10 at the bottom. We'd love to see it. Everyone's list is going to be different. Everyone's preferences are going to be different, and that's what makes video games so great.
yeah, absolutely. My number 10 is one I think that a lot of people would probably have on their list. It's I think it's considered a pretty classic game in the genre, and I think for a title as popular as it is, it for a long time was one of the only good games under its banner, and that is the Simpsons arcade.
Oh, great choice. Good
Yeah,
choice.
yeah. So I
A lot
mean,
of, go ahead,
that,
go ahead.
well, that's just a game you traditionally see in almost every arcade. You go to modern arcades, and nowadays they try to go more for like a retro appeal. Like we have one
Yeah.
locally that's similar. It has a Simpsons arcade machine, and it's not a rare machine to see. It's one of those ones that they still reproduce. You see them online. You see the Turtles in Time, all the really big ones, and
Yeah.
it's just really a staple of the genre. I'm a big Simpsons fan, so just having another game that was playable back in the day. I mean, if you're talking before those PS2 GameCube era, like hit and run and stuff, there really wasn't anything other than this.
Yeah, and that again, like you said, Simpsons is still relevant. So you still have, you know, people who are coming out with retro arcades or stuff like that, always having some sort of Simpsons game because it's still in, modern media versus
Yeah,
some of those other games that have totally faded out. But the Simpsons throughout the years have always put out banger games. And I don't think people talk about them enough. Like you were just mentioning, like Hit and Run and all
hit and
these
run.
classic games, like those games are fun, amazing, and they're very hard to find because a lot of people want them.
Yeah, I absolutely adore hit and run. Like if we were talking about that game, I could go on forever. I played the hell out of that. Um,
Great
the
game.
beat 'em up though, I think it also just translates to Simpsons so well because like Simpsons is such a mass appeals to so many people, so many non-video game players, and so do beat 'em ups because like you don't need to be good at video games to play a lot of these beat 'em ups.
Yeah. I wonder, has there ever been a game? Maybe, someone's made it on the PC, but it would be cool to have, The Simpsons, King of the Hill, South Park,
Futurama,
Family Guy, Futurama, all in one kind of
Duke It Out.
Super Smash Bros. Game, or even a racing game, like
Yeah,
a
a
Mario
racer would be.
Kart, Diddy Kong Racing, or something.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
think a
fun.
racer would be really sweet. You know what I always wanted for a fighter was I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. I always wanted a '90s sitcom fighter
Oh, that would be good.
where you
But
could
you
fight
see,
like
that's
Kramer versus fucking
Kramer. I knew you
Joey.
were going to say Kramer.
Kramer
But
versus Rock would be better.
what's great about that 90s era with those games? We got a lot of those matches together. Like we had Terminator versus RoboCop, like
Yeah,
Alien versus Predator. We just had back then they weren't afraid to merge both because they
yeah.
knew the success would, combine the
They knew it
both
was money
brands.
for
But
everybody.
yeah, like if Family Guy would have been around in that 90s era, they for sure would have matched with The Simpsons. I don't think,
Yeah.
they're afraid to do that. So I think it's just the different eras. We probably would have had those for sure. Imagine like
Oh.
playing as I want to play as Zach Morris versus somebody else. Zach Morris.
Oh, Zach Morris
All
versus.
right, Dan, you want anything else you want to say about your number 10 Simpsons?
No, I don't need to touch on it too much more than that. I think most people are somewhat familiar with this game. At least if they're watching our podcast, I'm sure they are.
Yeah. So my number 10 is a very classic beat 'em up. Obviously started in those arcades, something that we adore a lot, but we just weren't in that era of the classic arcade gaming. We were kind of so young when it was kind of fading out a little bit. But we did get the console version of this game. It's the fourth game in the series. It's a very simple plot. We find ourselves playing as Jimmy and Billy fighting the Shadow Warrior gang as they have kidnapped a female police officer, and I'm talking about Super Double Dragons, and a very classic game on the Super Nintendo. That's one of the first beat 'em ups a lot of people play for sure. Is
Yeah.
Super Double Dragons, and it's just a name. Double Dragons just instantly draws you in. There's 7 levels. Obviously, there's boss fights. You get to play in a casino, a gym, an airport, the slums, a forest. I think you fight on top of a truck, and then you have the final boss hideout. So it's a very classic game. Nothing really too special. That's why it's at my number 10. It's just one of those games that when you first introduced to the Super Nintendo, someone has this game, and I remember playing it a lot. It's not as visual appealing and stuff as my other games coming up in my list. That's why I have it at number 10. But a simple game, your classic beat 'em up controls, and everyone loves Super Double Dragon, so that comes in at my number 10.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I mean, obviously Double Dragon, one of those titles that are just absolutely synonymous with the genre. When I made the thumbnail, Double Dragon was the first thing I thought of to make as the thumbnail. Like,
Yeah. So it's just a classic game. I think everyone that's had a Super Nintendo growing up or even has it it's one of the first games they go after for sure because it just brings back a lot of nostalgia, and we both probably play a lot of Double Dragons in our day. So
Yeah, and like some other games I'm sure we're gonna have on our list. Such like a a good example of like where 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 entertainment was at the time. Like very much like into like the martial arts action, like very similar to like the movies, like the Jean Claude Van Damme movies we'd be watching at the
yeah,
time, or even like some of the Schwarzenegger and Stallone films.
absolutely. And a lot of these games, like we said earlier, have the same plot. Like a lot of them always take place in some kind of slum. You're always fighting
Mhm.
in the dirty streets
The
of New
back
York or
alley.
Brooklyn, yeah, or something like
There's
that.
always a
So beat 'em
dumpster.
ups,
There's always a
yeah,
dumpster in an alley sitting in the
yeah.
background.
There's always some kind of slum. There's always some kind of casino.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always
casinos
the same
too.
plot, especially like a train station. There's always some kind of subway
That's
station.
right. That's subway station. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
There's always something like that. So a lot of the games, is Streets of Rage. A lot of them they're very, very, very similar.
Similar in theme for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dan, you're number 9.
My number nine, I'm going with my most modern pick on this list. It's a game I think it's been fair. It was fairly popular. I think mostly because accessibility. I think you probably at least dabbled in it. Um, probably at some point. I believe it came out maybe 2 years ago, maybe three now, and that is
Oh,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
yes, I actually was playing that a few months ago. Actually,
Yeah, and
very good,
yeah, it's
very
very
good.
good. I mean, if you're saying, I mean, if this game came out back when these other games came out, I mean, we'd be talking about it as an all-time great beat 'em up. But obviously,
Yeah,
it's got the luxury of modern technology and stuff. But still, very good game. I mean, it's not. I mean, in modern day, it shouldn't be hard to make a good beat 'em up. That
yeah,
saying, they seemingly hit on all cylinders. The stages were good. The combat was smooth. It felt like the old games, and you had a good selection of characters. And the fact that you had to do things to unlock things and there was some bonus
yep,
missions, it gave you a bit of a reason to keep going and doesn't make it as monotonous as some of the other beat 'em ups. Like it was like my mission. I'm like, I gotta beat the game at least once so that I can get
yeah,
Casey Jones and play as Casey Jones, right?
yeah.
And stuff like that's just a little bit of additive to make it feel a little less stripped down like other beat 'em up games, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely. When I was playing it, I actually noticed that, like, in modern controls, those beat 'em up games are beautiful. Especially
mhm.
like playing on the Xbox, it's just so smooth. I love the
Yeah,
way they did the graphic system.
yeah,
Very, very beautiful. Yeah, like you said, you get to lock a lot of stuff, and I noticed a lot too. With the modern controls, the level difficulty was perfect for my
yeah,
type of gaming. A lot of these beat 'em up games are extremely hard
yeah.
back in the day, and there was a lot of quarters going in machines, or a lot of Super Nintendo and Sega controllers being thrown against the wall. I found that game very beautiful. I was actually going to put it on the list, but I have another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game on my list. You probably know that already,
Oh
so
yeah,
I
I
did
can
not
probably
put this
guess.
one. So so I went back to the classic original for my pick. But yeah, nonetheless, a great choice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't need to get into too much further, but just yeah. I mean, I remember playing it at the same time as a coworker of mine, and us going back and forth talking about it and stuff. And it was just I remember anticipating it a fair bit when I heard it was coming out, and I was not disappointed.
Is that also online? Can you play with somebody
Yeah,
else?
yeah. I'm pretty sure you can
Yeah,
play
see,
co-op online.
that's
Yeah,
pretty sweet. We should probably try that. We
yeah.
should
That's a
jump on
great
it.
idea, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually not a bad idea because we can both play that for sure. But
yeah.
another like Casey Jones, just want to bring him up because you brought him up. He's such a very underrated character
Oh,
in the history of. I don't even know how we can categorize him in comic characters, animation characters, whatever you want to say. Very cool looking, simple design, but man, he is fucking awesome.
yeah, dude, if my childhood had like a Mount Rushmore of badass, like the people that were badass to me as a child, it would be
Yeah.
like Raphael, Wolverine, Casey Jones, Boba Fett. That would be like the Mount Rushmore of coolness for me as a child.
But it's like it's
Maybe
great. Like
Dinobot.
yeah, the Ninja Turtles have so many classic villains. You know what I mean? Even Shredder. Like when I think about it, it just
Shredder's
He's
so
just
cool.
so cool looking,
So
man. Oh
cool.
my God. What a
Yeah.
cool character Shredder is. But for my number nine, Dan, I'm going to go with a Sega game here, a Genesis game. Came out in 1992. Obviously, there's a number one and a number three. I own number two, so that's the one I played more often. So that's why I made my list. And I'm talking about Splatterhouse 2 for the
Ooh,
Sega
Splatterhouse.
Genesis, a game that is very ahead of its time.
Hmm.
A game that you can kind of say Sega does what Nintendo don't. We're
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
violence level up to here. Rich is haunted by the terror mask, giving him the hope that his girl Jennifer is alive, and he dons the mask one more time, trying to rescue her. There's so many cool things in this game. Very cool level load screens. There's a boss at every level, like most beat 'em ups. Just a beautiful array of really showing what the Sega can do, graphics wise, speed wise. The cinematics. I find the cinematics Sega always had back then were beautiful and gorgeous. Um, just a fun beat 'em up, a hard beat 'em up. But just as kids back then, as us, such a scary game. You had games like Doom and all these shooters that were kind of terrifying, but this game was a beat 'em up that was terrifying, and a bloody beat 'em up. A lot of monsters, a lot of demons, a lot of cool things. So a game very ahead of its time. Splatterhouse 2 comes in at my number nine.
Yeah, I love that pick. That's a game I revisit with the original at Halloween most years.
Yeah. It's a great game, man. A lot of great. The music is great. The graphics are good. The storyline is good. There's just so many cool things in this game, and again, a very expensive game on the Sega.
Oh yeah, it is. See,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't own it myself. I just play it on an emulation console. But
hmm yeah, it's very expensive. It's probably about, I would say, it ranges from 150 up.
is the original like that too? Is one that expensive as well?
I'm not too sure, but they're probably all around there. Because remember, there's a lot of big hit titles that you need to get when you start to be a retro gamer. And for the
Yeah,
Sega, that's one of the ones that are probably on the list. So yeah, it gets pricey. But yeah, that comes out on my number nine.
nice, nice. I like that pick. Uh, my number eight is a game that probably if they wanted to, they probably could have made it gory like Splatterhouse, but not quite. It was released, I believe, on NES, Genesis, and arcade. I believe it was made by Capcom, and it is Marvel's The Punisher.
Yes, I
Yeah,
got that.
you
Just
played this,
again,
right?
yeah, just again, like you just said, that game could have been as gory as Splatterhouse for sure.
Yeah, if they
And
really
another
wanted
thing you
to.
just said that I want to hit on quick, um, Capcom in this era is sending out beat 'em ups and classic games like no tomorrow, man. Like,
Yeah,
man, Capcom was on fire in the 90s.
yeah. And
Oh
it
my
wasn't just the
goodness.
controls that they had down, like it was the aesthetic too. Like these games are all gorgeous and because of that, they all aged well.
Yeah, Capcom was on fire. But
And if
yeah,
I
then tell me why you love the Punisher.
now this game, it has been a while since I played it, but if I remember
Mhm.
correctly, there are some um, unique aspects to the gameplay in this, like some ways that you can like take cover, I believe, and stuff like that. There is
Mhm.
like it is a fairly unique engine for a beat 'em up. And I think that's why it stuck out to me. Not just that, but also it being the Punisher title, of course. Like
Yeah.
Punisher, just such a badass character. As a kid, I'm looking for any superhero titles and any something with the Punisher on it, even more so, right? Like you
Yeah.
don't get a lot of Punisher stuff. Um, yeah, so just one of the most badass characters in the Marvel universe, lends himself to the genre perfectly because that's what you want to
Yep.
see the Punisher do is beat some ass, and this game delivers. Yeah, I think the best way to play it is definitely on arcade. Maybe I'm wrong. Was this not ever released on Super Nintendo?
I think it was. I don't
It
know.
was,
Like
eh?
I want to say it was, but I can't. I don't want to say who. I want to say it was probably made. You said it was by Capcom, right? Yeah, it
Mm,
was Capcom. I mean, yeah. But again, like you went back to saying all these characters, and in our previous episode when we talked about Our favorite Marvel characters, X-Men, and superheroes were such a big part of that 90s. And the one thing retro gaming did perfect was cover art. And
Yeah,
the Punisher, and it sucks we don't have the original cartridges with us, but a lot of these cover arts are so gorgeous, man. For all these beat 'em up titles, man. It just, especially when you see the Punisher standing at the corner of the box with two guns and his mouth open, he's screaming. Oh, like come on,
oh,
man.
the best, man, the best.
God, like even like we brought up Doom just recently, like Matt, like that sick cover art, man. Metroid,
Yeah,
sick cover art, man. Streets of Rage,
yeah.
sick
For
cover
you
art,
brought
man.
Streets of Rage
Like
earlier. Streets of Rage is sick cover art.
just beautiful, and like for younger kids, that era just knew how to just draw us in, and it didn't
Yeah,
even matter if the game was like look at all the cover arts that were good back then, and like they had shitty like LGN made some of the worst games ever, but they would draw us
great
in from
cover
their
art.
cover arts, hoping
Yeah.
that it was going to be a fair, good game, and it just wasn't. But nonetheless, man, another great title, man. Anything else you want to say on the Punisher?
Oh no, that's pretty much it. I don't. It's been a while since I played the Punisher. I would like
I'm
to pick it up
surprised.
again sometime
I'm
soon.
surprised Punisher didn't make our top 10 Marvel characters.
Yeah, like I just haven't read a lot of his comics. I think that's my main thing. Like I think he has
Yeah,
potential to be on my list at some point. But
yeah, you got to jump into some Punisher comics. Okay, what
yeah,
are we at now? Number eight?
number 8
What
for
the
you.
hell are we
Yeah.
at? Number eight for me. I'm going back to 1991 on the Sega Genesis, and I'm going with a game I just mentioned. I'm going with Streets of Rage.
Number one.
Number one, yeah, a classic beat 'em up on the Sega Genesis. I remember I had the little arcade machine too of Streets of Rage. Basically, again, your normal plot: a peaceful city is taken over by Mr. X, and he's the leader of the syndicate. And they have the police all paid off, and they have him in their back pocket. But Adam Hunter, Blaze Fielding, and Axel Stone lead the police force to end Mr. X and the syndicate. So it's your basic beat 'em up game. You have your classic weapons you can pick up, and different from other games on the Super Nintendo, sometimes you couldn't pick up weapons. In Sega, you could in a lot of their beat 'em ups, you were able to pick up
Yeah,
weapons.
yeah.
So we got knives, pipes, bats, bottles, and the classic pepper shaker. I don't understand that. And you can also in a lot of games, you always get like a special attack. And when you did your special attack in Streets of Rage, you would get police assistance. So that's pretty cool. They had your classic levels again. They had the city streets, so basically the slums. They had the inner city. They had the beach. They had a ship. They had a bridge. They had a factory, an elevator, and of course the syndicate headquarters. Like most of the games, when you make it to the end, you make it to the final bosses, headquarters. So just a
It's yeah.
wonderful game, Streets of Rage
It's
is.
always a head coach. It's always a giant skyscraper.
Yeah. And the final boss is always just some big jack guy, eh? But
Yeah.
yeah, Streets of Rage, a very classic game, like you said. Um, like you mentioned, number one, there's a few other Streets of Rage games. This was just the one I had. I had the other ones, but this was the one, when you first get your first taste of it and the nostalgia feeling, I just had to put number one because I put the most hours in it for sure. So, again, when I first started retro collecting and I got my Sega Genesis, I was able to pick up Streets of Rage with it. So it just holds a fond memory, a great memory, and a fun game, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot argue with Streets of Rage. It's got to one of the Streets of Rage games got to be on probably both of our lists. I got one on mine too.
Yeah.
Absolute classics in the genre. Right up Streets of Rage synonymous the genre. Right up with there with to everybody with like Double Dragon, all those titles.
Yeah. Yeah, my next game is a classic. I think everyone's owned at one point and played at one point. So it's a classic on the Super Nintendo. My next game.
Oh, well. If your next one's a classic on the Super Nintendo, my next one is a classic on the Sega Genesis, and
Ooh,
mine is fantasy beat 'em up classic Golden Axe.
yes, a classic game. Actually, Golden Axe and Altered Beast didn't make my list.
Alter Beast. Yeah.
I have a different. I kind of tried to match them up and piece them. I have a game coming up that I think just has a little more depth than Golden Axe.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
you mentioned Altered Beast, and I feel like I should take a quick break and show you. It's been too. I talked about on the podcast a couple days how for a couple episodes how I had some free extra, and it's been a while, so I just want to show it to you on the podcast where everyone can see, and then I can actually give them to you the next time I see you. But you
so
mentioned
what is it?
Altered.
This is a part of our Christmas episode, right?
Yeah, yeah. They know it's March. We'll say it's your birthday because your birthday is right around the corner now.
Yeah, but I was hoping that we could get on screen and do a birthday gift exchange.
Oh, we should do
Maybe
that.
we should hold it.
No, I'll have to get you something else. This is Christmas. This is Christmas.
You
Okay, so
already
you
got me
mentioned
Christmas stuff.
no, I got you Christmas thing. This is the stuff.
Christmas
You
thing.
mentioned you mentioned the Altered Beast. Well, I got you a shirt that's related to the podcast and Altered Beast.
Oh, what is this?
Arnold Beast.
Oh, what?
And
Where'd you get that from?
I got it online, and it's like a character select screen, and it has all.
Oh
Arnold.
my God, that's amazing! You knew I would love that, man.
Not just Arnold Beast.
That is sweet.
But how about Double Damn?
Oh, yo, I don't even want to wear those, man. Those are sick.
You like that?
It's got my favorite Van Damme when he's got the uppercut pose in fucking Street Fighter, man, with the fucking American flag tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yo.
Oh, I thought your favorite was the dancer.
Oh man, where'd you get those from, man? Those are amazing.
I think it's Redbubble.
I gotta check those out. Those are fantastic, man.
Yeah.
You didn't have to buy those though, but those are
When I
sweet,
saw
man.
them, though, I'm like, those are perfect, and that's perfect for the podcast too.
Oh, it just sucks because now that we get older, like back in the day, I would have wore those every day. I would have had them ripped. I would have had it faded, but now I don't want to wear it.
Right.
I don't want to wear it. I don't want to wash it because it's gonna fade out. But thank you, man. I appreciate those. I'm definitely gonna wear those. Those are now my podcast shirts only.
Yeah, the podcast.
Those are sweet, man. Hopefully they fit because I got fat, so hopefully they fit.
Oh yeah, shit.
All right, Dan. What are we on now? I don't know.
You're number 7. You're number 7.
Did you do your number 7?
Yeah,
you Golden Axe.
I didn't really
okay.
say much about it. One thing I gotta say before we move on from Golden Axe, I always played as the main guy, and I've heard this brought up when people talk about this game. I think pretty consistently. The main guy, his name is Axe Battler, and he has a fucking sword.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? That's like going to a restaurant and he's like, I'm a sushi chef. What's on the menu? Cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Hey, maybe the battle axe was too heavy, yo.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Did you ever think of that?
They don't even have to mention his name. It's like, why couldn't they just change his name to Sword Battler? Could have been Golden Sword.
Sword Man. Sword Man.
Sword Man.
All right, my number 7, I guess. You want to keep talking about battle axe?
No, I got nothing past.
Golden Axe. Sorry, now I'm calling it battle axe.
Oh, you want to talk about Golden Eye? I'll talk about Golden Eye.
Okay, my pick is a classic on the Super Nintendo. Like again, I was talking about Double Dragons as one of the ones you needed to have, one of the first beat 'em ups you play. This might actually be one of the first beat 'em ups everyone's played. I'm talking about a 1989 game made by Capcom. Like we just spoke, that in that era they were on fire. What makes me love this game even more, it's a part of the Street Fighter universe. So a lot of these characters transferred into the Street Fighter series, and I'm talking about Final Fight. A former fighter elected mayor, Mike Hager, plans to change Metro City by ridding the ultra-violent gang called the Mad Gear. Jessica is kidnapped. They try to bribe Mike Hager, and he's in on the fight. So Very, very cool game. You get a lot of characters going to the Street Fighter series later on in those, Street Fighter Alpha and stuff. You're getting Cody, you're getting again Mike, you're getting Guy, you're getting Sodom, you're getting Hugo, you're getting Poison. So a lot of those characters transfer from this game to the Street Fighter universe, which is great. Obviously your levels are like the same as Streets of Rage and all the other games I said. Again, you start off in the slums like always, right? You always get the slums, you get the subway, you get West Side, you get industrial area, you get the Bay Area, you get Uptown, and then it's just your basic straight up beat 'em up. I just love it because it's a part of the Street Fighter universe, and I'm really big into Street Fighter. You get to pick up weapons as well. You get to pick up pipes, knives, swords. So another game. I have a feeling it. I don't know. Did this game come before Streets of Rage? Yeah, 1991 was Streets of Rage. So Streets of Rage was probably heavily influenced by Final Fight, but a classic game nonetheless.
Yeah, a game that I actually embarrassingly have like very little experience with, and I have had access to it, and I don't know why I haven't played this game more. Because yeah, when you bring it up, I'm like, yeah, this is a classic game. And I think about it, I'm like, looks beautiful. I'm like, why haven't
Yeah,
I played this game more?
yeah. It's your straight up classic beat 'em up game, man. And it's made by Capcom, so the controls are great, the sound is
Yeah,
great, the music is good, the visuals are good. It's got the same storyline as every other game. Like, come on, we're talking about beat 'em
yeah,
ups here. There's nothing,
yeah. You
there's
don't need
nothing
no storyline.
crazy. But the next game on my list has a very cool storyline.
Uh, Actually, the next one on my list has a unique storyline.
Yeah,
My number 6 pick is also the closest one I think I came to cheating because I wasn't sure. I think this one still is more of a beat 'em up than a platformer, but I was a little unsure about it. But another classic on the Sega. Mine is my number 6 pick is Comic Zone.
and I have that as my next pick too. So let's just
Oh,
talk
is
about
that
it at the
right?
same
Nice,
time. A
nice.
beautiful, one of the most beautiful games. It came out a little too late. It came out in 1995. So it's very hard and it's short. That's the
Yeah,
problem. Like it is
yeah,
very, very, very difficult. And then when you think you're getting the hang of it, the game is over. But one of
yeah.
the
Very
one
short
of
for an
the
older game.
yeah, but one of the best visual appealing beat 'em up games you will see. And it's nothing better than being a young kid. You love comic books. This game is set in all comic book panels. The
Yeah.
dialogue is in speech bubbles. In that comic font. Um, just a beautiful game. Do you want to break down the plot, or you want me to break it down?
Yeah, I can. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's not too much to it other than like I just think it lends itself. You break it down. I just want to say the plot, it being simple, it lends itself to beat 'em up. Perfect. It's all the
Yeah,
plot you
like
need.
the plot reminds me of like if you were a cartoon character, if anyone watched the show and Dan was a comic book character, he would be Sketch Turner.
He's a
Like
little too
that's what I feel
jacked.
like. Yeah, like he's a musician and an artist. He's writing his new comic book named Comic Zone, and his apartment is struck by lightning, which affects his comic book and brings the main villain alive, who traps Sketch in his own creation, trying to kill him so he can be free. That's basically the plot of this, and it just reminds me of you because you love music. You
Yeah.
you play this. You love drawing comics, and I'm like, yo, this is just Dan into a video game right now. But
And
what's
dude, the main guy there, he looks exactly like how they drew Johnny Blaze in the '90s,
yeah,
dude.
and what I love too is another thing Sega does so good in this game, and a lot of games going forward actually had this. Shenmue had this in it. Is depending on the length it takes you to beat the game, there's also a good and bad ending. So you either
Oh,
yeah.
I
So
didn't even
if you
know that.
save the yeah, if you save the girl, you get the good ending, and obviously if the girl whatever, if you don't save the girl, you get this other ending, alternate ending. So it's very very cool. Um, a great game, a must have for any Sega Genesis collector, any retro collector. It just sucks. The time it came out, 1995, was just a little bit late for a game like this. It should have. If this game would have came out a few years earlier, we would be talking about it being an all-time great. with the visuals, the graphics, the
Yeah.
music, the concept. Just a beautiful game, but just wish it was a little longer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, a little too close to that next gen of games to really
Yeah,
be looked at as a all-time great.
yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have to do anything else about that game. What a beautiful game Comic Max is. But
Yeah.
who want you go again, right? Because I just
Right,
said
right. That
mine
was
for
both
you.
of our number sixes. So my number five,
How do we have
won't
the
get
same
into.
game, yo?
Yeah. Well, again, my number five is one that we kind of already got into, so I'm not going to jump into it too much. I just have the sequel. My number five is Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah, another great game.
Yeah.
Very similar plot, very similar gameplay.
Oh
It's all
yeah.
the same. Yeah.
They switch up the characters a little bit. Slight graphic improvement from the time that had passed, but
Mhm.
nothing crazy.
Yep. That's it.
But yeah, that's all I
That's it.
got.
Yeah,
Really.
there's nothing else to say on that. It is basically the same as the first one.
Yeah.
All right. My number. What the hell are we on now? Number five.
This will be year five.
Okay, my number five is a game I put ahead of Golden Axe, like your pick. And I went with 1991's Knights of the Round Table.
Oh, I've never played this.
Oh, this is a beautiful game, and you would love this game, man.
All right.
A young knight King Arthur pulls the Excalibur sword from the stone, and the land starts to die. He turns to the great Merlin, who talks about the Holy Grail. Arthur, Lancelot, and Percival set out to find the great Holy Grail to restore the land. So it's your basic King Arthur story. I've always been fascinated with medieval, especially King Arthur and Merlin. Have you ever seen that? The Merlin, the TV show?
No, no.
No, check it. Watch that. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it's a fun show, man. It's a live action of Merlin and King Arthur and their relationship. It's a pretty cool show. I think you would like that.
Is it a newer show or an older show?
It's an older show, but it's not too old. I want to say it's in the last decade or so. So it's not
Oh, okay.
like
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, check that out. It's just called Merlin.
I'll have to check both these out because this game too sounds very interesting to me.
Yeah,
This
so
was
this game is sweet, man. It's basically like an RPG, but it's a beat 'em up style. You get to ride horses, you get new armor and weapons throughout the game. So depending on how many points you get throughout the level, you get to upgrade into new weapons and armor. Again, we're talking about King Arthur, so we're talking about that medieval Europe style. So we have a lot of Europe themed villages, the countryside, the castles. Very beautiful game for 1991. Um, and like I just said, there's an RPG leveling style system for how many points you get based on your score. So you get to upgrade to new weapons and stuff. Very great game. You get to pick from three characters. Just a fun game, man. Knights of the Round Table. Definitely, if you have an emulator, check it out.
what was this on? Was this arcade?
It might have been on arcade, but it was on the Super Nintendo.
It was on Super Nintendo.
I
Okay.
believe, but um, I played it on emulator, so I don't know if it was on Super Nintendo, but I think it was on Super
And on
and
arcade.
arcade for sure arcade. But
Yeah.
if any fans know that watch, please comment below if I'm right on that because I'm not too sure because I played on emulator.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Well,
but a beautiful game.
my next pick I think is kind of sounds like it's staying in that same kind of realm of RPG and kind of medieval that's more fantasy based. Um,
Mhm.
I think this might be on your list still, maybe. I'm thinking if you played it, but I don't know if you played it or not. And my number four is Dungeons and Dragons Shadow over Mystara.
Yeah, that was gonna be on my list, but I don't. Is that classified as a beat 'em up?
I thought it would because I mean at its core it is. It's got some some item collection, some RPG aspects to it, but I feel like
Yeah,
at its
that's why
core,
I found like I thought it was more of an RPG, but I'm okay with that pick because it was gonna make my list too. But
yeah,
another great choice, another game that puts in that RPG feel, so it gives you a different atmosphere than just playing your straight side scroller beat 'em up.
absolutely.
and you're not starting in the slums. It's a
No.
different feeling, right? Just like Knights of the Round Table. Like I said, the graphic appeal for 1990 is so gorgeous in that European countryside medieval feel. And if you definitely like King Arthur and that fantasy story, great game. Just like this game is a
Yeah.
great thing.
Yeah, very classic, like Dungeons and Dragons feeling game. You see a lot of those classic characters and races that you expect to see even with D&D, and
Yep.
yeah, it just gives some nice dressing to the genre and makes it feel a little less stripped down than other games, other beat 'em ups. I only played this game within the last 10 years. Never played this game as a kid. I think I played this game for the first time, believe it or not, on my Xbox 360. I think this game was on the
hmm
marketplace.
Yep. I actually have it on my ROM here, my emulator on my phone. Because
Oh,
when like I don't play video games too much, so the last couple of weeks I've been getting some older Super Nintendo Sega RPG type, just so I can pick it up and play it once in a
yeah,
while, and then put it
the
away, and then
uncommon.
yeah, because I've never been a big RPG style player. The only RPGs I really love to play is like that Pokemon series, and to me that doesn't seem like your RPG type game, right? Because I just love it so much. Like I'm talking
Oh,
about turn based. I'm talking about like a turn based kind of. So I want to try
right.
to get into a lot of those older turn based kind of strategy games. You build up your characters and stuff. So I've been starting back again at the Super and Sega era. So that's one of the games I downloaded. I downloaded a few others too. So I'm gonna jump into those soon and hopefully start playing it. Like Chrono Trigger, I was playing last year for a little
Chrono
bit. So I
Trigger.
just jumping again into those classic RPG turn-based games.
Yeah, yeah. I see. I do not. I play so much less. Well, I shouldn't say monotonous. Those games aren't monotonous, but I play so much more turn your brain off games. This is what the rest of my day looks like.
You know what I wanted to do straight off topic. I know we wanted to do something fun when we record ourselves playing some video games. I was thinking because I was just gonna buy the game. I'll pull up my Sega Genesis and we record us doing a season in the classic two NBA 2K with Allen Iverson on it,
Oh my god, that would be amazing, dude.
and we go through a full season
On which game?
NBA 2K, NBA 2K1 or 2K2 for the
Oh
Sega Genesis.
shit, that'd
I
be
mean the
epic.
Sega Dream on the Dreamcast on the Dreamcast. I
Oh
think that
my
would be
god,
fucking
that'd be
funny.
awesome. That'd be awesome.
Imagine that AI team. You got like Snow on it. You got fucking Mutombo on. Oh god, yo.
If the first one of the because what year did they go to the finals? 01, right?
Yeah, 01.
So they trade for Mutombo in that season, right?
I think so. It's crazy that like obviously he was powerless against Shaq, but like he stayed in the league for like another 10 years.
Dude, Mutombo was super important to that team. I mean, he even had to
Yeah,
score sometimes for that team.
yeah. Well, no one else could.
No, no. Well, the funny
God,
thing is
poor AI. Yo.
they had. I mean, what didn't they trade Tony Kukoc for him? Or am I
I don't even
thinking
remember.
they either trade
Hey, hey,
Kukoc for
hey.
him or
We're not talking
Derek
about
Coleman?
sports, sorry.
I could talk about old players like Derek Coleman and Dikembe
Derek
Mutombo for
Coleman.
days.
No, we're not talking about sports. We're talking about beat 'em up video games. All right, man. Whose turn was it? Was it what were you just talking about?
I
Now I
just said
forget.
D&D at my number 4, so you're number 4.
Okay,
If
that's
you
all you wanted to
watch
say
any
about D and
sports
D.
again, it's gonna be sports still. You're gonna be like Michael Jordan, Chaos in the Windy City.
um, are you want to say anything else about Dungeons and Dragons or that?
No, I pretty much hit it all.
A great game though, a really good game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, what am I at? Number four.
Number 4.
Number four. I'm jumping to 1994. We brought up this publisher before, this LJN, and this is clearly LJN's best game they've ever made. And I'm talking about Spider-Man, Venom, Maximum Carnage.
Woo!
First off, there's a couple games back then that just make you want to buy them, and I'm talking about older school games like I believe Killer Instinct had the black cartridge. Majora's Mask had a gold cartridge. This game had a red cartridge.
Yeah.
And we're going further. Like Tony Hawk had a blue cartridge. Like those are things that are so different, but just appeal to us because it's not what we usually see. But aside from the red cartridge, this game is fucking
Oh,
fantastic. Carnage breaks out of prison. He basically makes a team of psychopaths. Spider-Man and Venom join forces in an uneasy alliance to stop Carnage and his new family. What's great about this, all the characters are in this game. Obviously, you don't get to play as them, but they did come in to support Spider-Man throughout the storyline. Amazing cutscenes in this game. You have people like Captain America, Iron Fist, Black Cat, Cloak and Dagger, Deathlock, Demogoblin, Morbus. This great characters in this game that it's just a really, really, really good beat 'em up game, and LJN did a great job on it.
yeah, so 90s Spider-Man,
Yeah,
symbiotes all over the place. Like you name the characters, very 90s Spider-Man. Just like to go back and enjoy that period. It's the perfect game.
yeah, and also just like the classic cartoon, um, you basically get to swing. It feels like Spider-Man swinging from the top of your TV throughout the game when you
Yeah,
you want to swing and attack. So a very cool feature in the game. LJN did a wonderful job on this game, man. So kudos to
don't hear that
them.
very
Uh,
often.
no, but Spider-Man Venom Maximum Carnage comes in at my number 4.
That's a great pick. That's a great pick. You know what's crazy? I don't have that on my list, and you know how much I
Wow.
love that game, right?
I wonder if you have like Captain America and the Avengers or something.
Oh no. What is it? What is the what's that fucking Avengers one? Something about the gems or whatever. It's basically like their Infinity Gauntlet game, and you play as Captain
Yeah,
America, Iron Man, Hulk. I think Thor
yeah,
too,
all
maybe.
great games, man. Just great games, man. I miss that era, man.
Yeah. My number three though is a game you brought up earlier in the episode. Recognizable title.
Hmm.
They've gone on to make movies and stuff. I still think this original game is the best adaptation of this story, and that is Alien versus Predator.
Yes, great game on. That came out on Super Nintendo, right? And
Yeah,
Sega? Was it on both?
arcade.
Yep.
I don't know if it's on the Sega. I don't know if it's on the Sega. I think I played the an emulated version of the arcade is the game I played the most. Yeah, just fucking badass. Like at the time that it came out, you'd only had so many exposures to the characters of like the Predator, the aliens. Aliens
Yep.
usually a pretty consistent look throughout, but the idea that you get to see different predators with different weapons at the time
Yep.
was so cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and the Predator is just like one of the most badass like alien monsters in cinematic history, especially when you're a kid. It's like combining a monster movie with like a superhero.
Yeah, and at
Um,
that time, like you're saying, with the different predators and stuff, we didn't really get the predator's backstory back then. Like we didn't,
yeah,
there wasn't like a full, just straight predator movie. You know what I mean? It was kind of just him on Earth attacking. So it's nice to get sort of like this background story or seeing different versions of him that we haven't seen before.
yeah, and man, isn't it crazy that like this game came out what early '90s, and that they didn't make a movie until like the early to mid 2000s. Like, and that was today, they would have jumped on that shit so quickly. There would have been a movie and like an Amazon series already.
Absolutely, and like versus that, with the aliens, we did get a big movie series
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
aliens, right? So we already knew about the aliens, but the predator was still a big mystery.
yeah. There's still something left to the imagination,
Yeah, but
and the game
a
gave you a
great,
little bit
wonderful pick.
more than what you had already.
Absolutely, that's what I love about those games. Like we were just talking earlier in the show, when you bring in different counterparts to make a game, like Terminator versus RoboCop, Alien versus Predator. Like we don't just see that anymore, man. And it's just a beautiful thing to
Yeah,
see, man. Like I'm
yeah.
still waiting for Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. Capcom hates us. That's the problem. Capcom hates us, man. But they did give us Marvel vs. Capcom, which is again, it's a better
Pretty
matchup
good.
for sure.
pretty good.
The matchup makes sense, but for all
It's
the
not what we
fans,
want.
no, all the fans just want to see Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. Obviously, Mortal Kombat's so overpowered than Street Fighter, but somehow we can make it work. We can make it work somehow. We
Yeah,
don't
I
even
think
care.
so. If Marvel and DC have faced off, and DC's characters are more overpowered. They make it work. So
Yeah,
why can't
we
Street
should be
Fighter
able to make it work,
Mortal
right?
Kombat? Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you want to say about what was that? Your number three?
Yeah, AVP. Not much more other than great game. I remember I played through it all 2 years ago, I'd say, and I think with
Very
just being able to press
enjoyable.
start instead of inserting quarters, I was able to beat it in a couple hours. I think.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and again, a game that you can play back, quite a bit of time. So
Yeah,
wonderful choice, man. I was happy that we have different choices on the list.
yeah, for
Great.
sure.
All right,
Well,
my choice here for number three. I'm going back to Capcom again, 1994. Quick backstory on this game. I've already said on the show. I remember my friend's mom when we were growing up went to a yard sale and she came home with a Super Nintendo and she paid $15. Can you imagine that? Paying $15 for a Super Nintendo.
yeah.
She got Super Mario World, she got Yoshi's Island, she got Paperboy 2, and she got this game, all for $15 from a yard sale. So we had to have a sleepover, and this was the first game we put in, and I'm talking about X-Men Mutant Apocalypse for the Super Nintendo.
Woo!
One a wonderful game, one of the best soundtracks you'll hear in a suit in on any console. But the X-Men must rescue captive mutants and sabotage operations on the island of on Genosha Island. After you complete each character missions, Xavier finds out Magneto plans to destroy Genosha. So he trains all the. You get to pick your character, but he trains you to defeat holograms of Juggernaut and Omega Red, and once you complete your training, you're sent to go fight Magneto, man. And just a wonderful game. We're going back to that 1994. So X-Men is so big right now, and you get to play as some great characters: Beast, Cyclops, Gambit, Wolverine, and the sexy Psylocke. So how can you not love it, yo?
Man, if kids today could understand that their Avengers that they think are so glorious were a fucking B title and fucking
Yeah,
not even a fraction of the popularity of the X
not
Men
even
when we were
close.
kids.
Not
Not yeah,
even
not even,
close to what
it
the
was the
X-Men
X
were.
Men, Spider Man, and everybody fucking else.
Yeah, like we talked about in our last episode. Please, guys, check out our top 10 comic book Marvel characters. And yeah, man, the X-Men in our era was on top.
Yeah, they were the shit. They were the shit.
Yeah, like they were oh man, like just the definition like we talked about of what a 90s superheroes were is like that animation style of the X-Men characters, like you brought up the Punisher, all that stuff, man. Just
Yeah,
oh man, just classic gaming. But yeah, that was one of the games we played. I love the soundtrack and it's just a beautiful game, beautiful graphics.
yeah,
The character and what's great about this game too, the characters don't feel like they're this small. They're very large
yeah.
style characters. Like it's a really good game with a great plot. And it has so many cool characters in it. So like you can't go wrong.
What you just brought up is an understated point that I never even thought of until you said it, and I'm like, that is a huge appeal to me in a beat 'em up is the games where you have the larger size character. I think that's what turned me off of Double Dragon. I think a lot as when I was
Hmm.
younger was the small characters.
Yeah, because a lot of them it's just because they focus more on the background, but this one felt like it was like zoomed in.
Yeah,
It's just beautiful, man. And each character has a separate level, so it's kind of like you're playing their separate journey. It's just a fun game,
right.
man. So X-Men Mutant Apocalypse comes in at my number three.
Great pick. Great pick. My number two, My runner up. It seems wrong making this number two because it's just it's one of the kings of this genre, absolutely, if not the king. We brought up on the podcast before. You just gifted it to me for Christmas. My number two, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Yeah,
Just not just one of not just one of, if not the best beat 'em up of all time, but arguably the best Super Nintendo game. I mean, it's definitely arguable. It definitely depends
Mm,
on what genre, but to a lot of people, this might be their favorite Super Nintendo game too.
absolutely. Beauty on the Super Nintendo. To me, it is the best beat 'em up game of all time. Just everything is just perfect in this game. The storyline, the level, the creation, the design, the music,
Control.
the control, everything is just perfect in the game. Like if you're looking for a perfect video game, this is it. Like
Yeah.
I don't the level of difficulty is just perfect for you. Oh my God, this the Turtles in Time is just a fantastic beat 'em up. Whether or not it's your number one to number 10, it's in your top 10.
Yeah, it has to be. I can play this game with my wife. My wife doesn't play a lot of video games. She can pick this game up. She can be decent at it. She can
Yeah,
enjoy it. It's got a charm. It doesn't take itself too serious. Like
no,
it's
it
just a great game.
it's a
Like
definition of the '90s Turtles. You know,
yeah,
they when they need to be serious and badass, they can. But when they want to be fun and humorous, it's all in the game. You can fall through the little sewers when the guy, when the paths pop off. You can hit fire hydrants. You can power up with pizza time.
you can
There's
stub your
just so
toe.
many great. Yeah, like when you stub your toe,
My
my
toe,
toe, my toe.
my toe, my
Yeah,
toe.
I do hate that. I hate that level though.
Yeah, because that's all you hear is my toe. When you play two people, the whole
Yeah.
level, my toe, my toe, my
Yeah.
toe, my toe.
But what a great game, man. Great choice. I love that choice, man.
Yeah, perfection, maybe for the
Perfection,
genre.
perfection. Yeah, for sure. So my number two, again, is a game that a lot of people love, and this is the only game that's going to be on my list that's going to be in the 2000s and beyond. I've talked about it before on our favorite top 10 co-op game, so I'm not going to go too in depth in the storyline. For anyone that's ever played it, it's such a hidden gem, and I'm talking about 2005's Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Um,
Oh, I didn't think that's what
just
you were
a
gonna say.
just a straight beautiful beat 'em up, and you play as Liu Kang, Kung Lao. You're in search of Shang Tsung, going into Outworld after the tournaments. One, he's always trying to upper hand, Raiden and Liu Kang and stuff. Just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game, and I'm surprised this hasn't got remade or some kind of version of it. But I absolutely love this game. And after you beat the game, you can play as Scorpion and Sub Zero, so you get to feel it again as two of the most badass characters in the Mortal Kombat series. So for me, man, 2005 Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. If you haven't played it, go out and play it. It is a gem on the Xbox, and I don't know if it came out on PlayStation. I'm assuming it did. I never had a PlayStation growing up, but what a fucking fantastic game it is, man.
Yeah, I remember it from Xbox. I remember reading about it in an Xbox magazine before it came out, and yeah, I really need to go and revisit this game because I've never played this game either.
No, it's amazing. I'm not going to go too much into the plot because I spoke about it on a top 10 co-op game. So anyone who's interested in that, please go look at it. But again, go look at this game if you can find it anywhere. It is a fucking gem, a beautiful beat 'em up, man. Just unbelievable. I love
I
it.
thought I thought you were gonna say the Warriors there because the Warriors considered a beat 'em up.
I was gonna put the Warriors on, but I don't know. Is it considered?
I don't know. I've seen when I was looking up beat 'em ups, I've seen people consider it one,
Yeah,
but I
because if
wasn't
the
sure.
Warriors, if the Warriors is one, I'm gonna have to take one off my list.
And that's
Because
another thing I thought of when I was doing the list. I'm like, how is there not a Warriors beat 'em up in the early '90s?
yeah, that's true. But I
How perfect
isn't
would that have been?
the beat 'em up is more linear open world though. Because
Yeah,
you can go into like stores and steal money from cash registers and stuff
that's
like that.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because if you put that as a beat 'em up, you'd have to put like what was it, like 25 to life in those games as beat 'em ups. Like
yeah.
then
Probably right.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance would be a beat 'em up.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance has to be then. Yeah.
Yeah, so then our list
Yeah,
is screwy.
we're getting a little too loose. I feel like.
Yeah, because then if it is, then I got to take 2 games out because the Warriors definitely has to go in there. Because you remember that, like for like 3 years, I was just into the
Oh yeah,
Warriors.
you and
We
David
put,
just obsessed.
yeah, we were just obsessed with it. And Marvel Alliance would have to go in as my number, probably my number 3 or 2 pick. But
I've
if
been
it's
tr-
your number one, that's totally cool, yo.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I've been trying to get Kyle to watch the Warriors. Our friend Kyle, he's into like all these like John Carpenter movies, like Big Trouble Little China and stuff. I'm like, dude, you got to watch the Warriors.
He hasn't watched it yet.
Not yet, I don't think. No.
Oh man, that movie's fantastic, man.
Yeah. The
I just love
inspiration.
when they kill they waste Cleon in their
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Uh,
Poor
all right.
Ajax, yo.
Yeah.
All
And
right, Dan,
don't forget,
give a breakdown. Give a breakdown of
it's the
your.
movie that influenced Abe Knuckleball Schwartz.
I
All right,
heard they were
breakdown of my.
remaking it. I hope they don't remake it.
Oh God, they can't do that.
And
They
then
better.
they wanted to bring back Swan as Swan, yo.
Why? To do what? How you be old as fuck?
I know.
Be like a mentor, I guess, character kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. All right, buddy. Break down
all right,
your
my top 10. Starting at 10, I had The Simpsons Arcade. At
Yep.
number 9, I had TMNT Shredder's Revenge. At
Yeah.
number 8, I had Capcom's The Punisher. At number 7, I had Golden Axe. At number 6, I had Comic Zone. At number 5, I had Streets of Rage 2. At number 4, I had D&D Shadow over Mystara.
Yeah.
Number 3, I had Alien versus Predator. And at number 2, I had Turtles in Time. And my
I want to
number
know what your
one.
number. I actually don't know what your number one is. Like I'm
Oh, as
like,
soon as I say it, you'll be like, oh, of course. My number one, my favorite arcade machine of all time. I remember playing in Disney World. I remember playing in Barrie actually for a little bit before they took the machine out.
I want to think I know what it is, but I don't want to say it.
It's something we talked about a whole bunch in this podcast. X-Men Arcade.
Oh, okay, yes. I for some reason I was thinking this game, but I don't know if it would classify as a beat 'em up. Is Rampage a beat 'em up?
Ooh. Is
Because it is
Rampage a
side
beat 'em up?
scroller.
And you're just punching and kicking things, but you're just killing things, not like enemies for the most part. You are killing
Yeah,
some enemies, but that's tough. I don't know. It's a platformer too, though, right?
yeah. That's the
It's as
problem.
much
A
a
lot
plat.
of them are platformers,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. That's a great game, though. That's a great game.
No, but
But
I like your number one. So tell me about it.
yeah, X-Men Arcade to me, like as a kid, it was the best aesthetic for sure you could get of the X-Men. Didn't feel quite as much as like the TV show as some of like the console games that we talked about, but definitely felt a lot more like the comic book. You had a great selection of characters in this. You could play up to four players co-op. You got to face all the big villains in this. And just graphically, it was fucking gorgeous on the arcade. Just absolutely gorgeous. It's got a ton of charm. It's got some hilarious moments too, like that classic Magneto moment where you face Magneto and you X-Men, welcome to death. Or is it
It's
welcome to die? I can't remember. Something like that. But oh my god, it's just I mean, it's a perfect beat 'em up fun, especially if you love X-Men.
oh no, we're down, we're down.
Oh, shit. I'm trying to think of if I can remember all the characters you play as: Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, um, Colossus, um, Dazzler, I think, and I feel like there's more. But I'm blanking. I can't remember if you can play as Rogue and Gambit. I don't think so, but
My octopus fell off the wall, so now I luckily I caught the phone though.
you're Octopus. What the fuck?
Yeah, I have it right here. It sticks onto the wall.
Oh, I have an octopus too.
Different meanings though.
Yeah.
It can also be used as a butt plug. So whatever you
Oh
want to use it.
god.
Multi.
I don't think
Yeah,
there's gonna
but
be
that
any octopuses in Detroit this year. I was looking at the
no.
playoff standing.
Oh God, no. Patrick Kane's still playing pretty good though. I'm impressed with him.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for the losing streak they went on, I feel like they'd be in the playoffs. But they should be there ahead of fucking Philly, man.
Yeah, but a great game, man. A very similar game and feel to X-Men Mutant Apocalypse.
Yeah, I think
Just,
so. Yeah, a little bit.
but
Yeah. I was gonna say it feels your guys feel a little bit more grounded, I guess maybe.
mhm,
But
yep,
yeah. I think the reason I'm drawn to this game most is just because the machine was so nice. Like you had such a big screen on these machines, and it
yep.
really it just made it feel so colorful, so vibrant.
I love this choice. That's a really great choice, man.
Yeah, and it's not a game that's very accessible. Like if you're not playing it on an arcade or an emulator, like you're probably not playing it because like for a very brief period of time it was on like 360 Marketplace and got taken down because of licensing. Like it's hard to get your hands on this game if it's not an emulator.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I don't know if I've jumped into that too much. I'm gonna have to get it on an emulator.
Yeah, for sure. For sure you
Yeah, for
should.
sure. If it's your number one, I'm definitely gonna have to pick it up on an emulator, man.
Yeah, I think it'd be my brother's number one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All
Jimmy.
right, give us a breakdown, Chris, before you
Okay,
tell us what I
so
know is coming.
I think most people that watch the show know what my number one is.
No, it's coming.
But
Yeah,
okay, at number 10, Super Double Dragons. At number 9, Splatterhouse 2. At number fucking 8, Streets of Rage. And then Final Fight, Comic Zone, Knights of the Round Table, Maximum Carnage, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. And my number 1 is Dan's number 2. Uh, One of the best games Konami's ever made. I think it was released in 91 or 92, and I'm talking about Turtles in Time. Like we said, the perfect plot, the perfect characters. Oh my God, the perfect levels, the music, the controls, oh my good God, this game is fucking perfect. The chase is on basically as the Statue of Liberty is stolen during April O'Neil's news broadcast. The turtles jump into action on foot. They jump into action on foot, and then later they're sent through a time warp by Shredder, where they fight in the past and the future. So basically, you know, this game is amazing. Some of the best levels in any beat 'em up game. Like what are some of the Big Apple, 3 a.m. We got Alley Cat Blues. We got Sewer Surfing. Mito. we got
mind know.
we got the Technodome twice. We got Prehistoric Turtlesaurus. We got Skulls and Crossbones, a pirate level. We
That's a
got
pilot.
Neon
Okay.
Light Riders. We got the Starbase, and we got Bury My Shell, the Western level. So there's so many great levels in this game. Such fun. This game takes you on such a ride, and look how much levels I just list, and every level is different. It's
Yeah,
just unbelievable. And then when you fight Shredder, oh my God, what a great game, man! Everything in this game is perfect. If there was a game that was 10 out of 10 on every category, on with the Super Nintendo or so have you, Sega Genesis area, in that area before we got into the 3D,
yeah.
in the 2D games, this is a 10 out of 10, from top to bottom. Just a beautiful depiction of you know what a beat 'em up game should be. I love Turtles in Time, man. Just fantastic. So
Yeah.
that comes in at my number one.
Yeah, perfect difficulty, perfect aesthetics, perfect everything. Can't
Everything
go wrong.
everything is fantastic in it. A lot of people will go off the consensus list of what all these game sites, and they'll put like Chrono Trigger and all these games. I stop it for fun gameplay. Having your buddy beside you. What's better than Turtles in Time, man? I
Oh,
don't know.
well, like other than NHL '96, like
But guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Please put your top 10 beat 'em ups at the bottom. Obviously, we talked about some. If they are classified as beat 'em ups, they would be on our list. The Warriors, Ultimate Alliance. We don't. We think they're platform. I think they're platform games. But Dan, send these people home. And what are you thinking for next week?
oh shit, I don't know what to think about. Do you have any ideas for next week?
I'm not too sure. I think I was thinking of doing the work life balance episode again in good quality. Like I wanted to do
Oh.
something like that. Give maybe something about giving our experiences in life and trying to help the younger generation. But I'm good with whatever.
Yeah, we could try. We could do. I'm be down for that.
But next,
Give some youngins some advice. End up just as perfect and polished as me.
yeah. Or we could talk. We'll come up with something. We'll definitely come up with something. I know UFC 300 is coming out, so we want to try to get together for that event.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, for
maybe
sure.
we'll do a live stream for that event.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe we'll go live for the
Definitely,
UFC.
definitely. You and I should be able to get together, and maybe we even have some other boys.
Yeah. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Please put your top 10 below, and we'll be back next week with something. We don't know what yet. We don't know
Yeah,
what yet. It'll probably end up being some kind of top 10 list or something, but
usually is.
yeah, we'll talk about something, or maybe we'll do something different. Maybe we'll review a movie. Maybe we'll talk about a movie and we'll review a
Mm,
movie. That'll be a little different.
yeah, like that.
Give our thoughts on a film.
If we
We'll
do a
think
review,
about it.
we'll have to let the people know midway through the week what to expect, what movie we're
Yeah,
reviewing.
we'll release something definitely. All right,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Friday for a special episode. Oh, you
Until
know
next
what?
time.
Next week, next week we won't go live Friday. We'll go live Saturday with me and you on the screen for our birthday gift exchange.
I like it. I like it.
How's
Sounds
that?
good to
And
me.
then
Sounds good to
then
me.
we'll then we'll film a couple new ideas and we'll release them throughout the week for you guys. So we got some fun things coming ahead. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods this next Saturday too, because it's a long weekend.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we should be able to get a lot done. So guys, always thank you. Dan, send them home.
Oh fuck. Till next time, boys.
Peace. Have a good one.